They had to pull out of the joint powers agreement because of mismanagement. Now, of course, we went back into our video archives to see if that explanation holds water. And we found our film footage that we had from a cable commission meeting where the annual audit was being presented to the cable commissioners about the financial status of the Joint Powers Cable Commission and their financial stability and their operations. So let's take a look at our first clip. And this is the auditor.
Over the results of our audit for this year. It is pretty much in a final status, which everybody should have a draft copy of the audit plus all of our letters in their packets that went out to them. Once we're done and the audit's been accepted, we'll finalize those and get the final audit reports out and everything. But just to go over the audit results for this year, we had an unmodified or a clean opinion on the financial statements. We did, similar to prior years, we had one material weakness identified as part of the audit. It was for the commission requesting our assistance in helping prepare the financial statements in the form that you're going to see. It's pretty standard for any governing body that's the size of the commission to request that help from, if you want to say, the experts with preparing the financial statements. So nothing uncommon, nothing that we would see that would warrant a change, just more making everybody aware of that.
Okay, so that's the auditor. He said they got a clean bill of health, that there was only one issue that, that they wanted to make a note of, that the commission and the management had asked the auditors to help with putting together the statements, but that for an organization their size, that was not something unusual to be asking the professionals to help them. Okay, so that sounds pretty good so far. So there must be something more that really got Maplewood all riled up about the internal operation and the management and the finances. So let's listen to the next clip.
A pretty significant checklist related to Minnesota legal compliance that we go through that the state auditor's office put out. As we went through that checklist, we didn't identify any exceptions as part of that, so that's good as well. And then also just some of our required communications that we have. We'd have to let the commission know if there were any disagreements with management, any difficulties we encountered as part of the audit. We didn't have any of those, so that's always a good thing for us to be able to report. Another thing that we'd like to let you know is if we'd had any changes in accounting policy, any new standards that we would have implemented, so that as you compare last year's financial statements to this one, if there were any significant changes. There were no new significant accounting policies this year. So if you want to say your financial statements are going to be on an apples-to-apples type basis. And then also the information that we got from Donna and the rest of the staff here, we're in actually pretty good shape. We didn't have any material audit adjustments as part of our audit.
No material audit adjustments, meaning that when they were taking care of their financial books, everything was pretty much in the line items where they're supposed to be, and that they didn't have some misentries. Maplewood has had in the past some misentries into their audit books, and then they would have to move it from one line item to the next and get permission from the council to do so, like the time when they got the money from the RNC to help with policing the RNC convention, and they the $90,000 that they received, they put it in the wrong place, and so then it messed up the books, so then they had to put it somewhere else. But you heard the auditor here saying that for the audit for the Ramsey Washington Suburban Cable Commission, everything looks good.
Diane, we didn't hear them say that it was the Cable Commission that was mismanaging. We just heard that somebody had been mismanaging. And, there is gold in them there books. And the fact is, I guess what I'm looking at is, and I'm thinking to myself, if you really think it through, and all the stuff we've been talking about, I can still say there's one guy that I've been looking at to get fired for the last 5-10 years because of his department that he's supposed to be ahead of.